There we go. I'm sharing my screen. Here we go. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I see 27 participants already inside our webinar. Most welcome. As I was just saying, this is the first day of Food Waste Prevention Week. It's so exciting. We're very glad to have you here. And we are also honored to be part of the Food Waste Prevention Week for the second year. Last year, our principal investigator, Dr. Stephanie Lansing, presented a general overview of the tools being developed as part of the NourishNet toolbox. This year, I will do a super quick introduction to set the stage for our main focus. So without further ado, let me share our content for today. So one second. Our educational initiatives can be replicated throughout diverse parts of the food ecosystem. And so Lisa will be first sharing about our progress on composting and food waste prevention initiatives at the University of Maryland College campus, right after that quick overview that I'll present. And then Amy will be sharing highlights about our in-person approach, including highlights of our pilot program at Linda Benn Foundation. And then right before when we open the floor for questions, Dr. Hee-Young, who leads our educational efforts at NourishNet, will announce and share about our aims to recruit pantries to serve them, to serve all of you with educational resources. Please put your name in the chat where you are connecting from. We still have a form at the end, so if it's easier for you to just wait until we share those links. Yeah, thank you for joining us. This is us, the presenters. So I'm Daniela, would you see there, Ochoa Gonzalez, and I'm honored to be accompanied by Lisa Alexander, which is gonna present on the college's initiatives. Dr. Amy Schnatzer Apple, she's the one that led and designed the pilot program for the food pantries. We have Graham Binder, our director of communications, and we also have Dr. Hyun Sung, who is the lead of our team consumer, who put together this presentation for you. So here we go. Our overview. So as I mentioned again, before I start, I just wanted to share that there is a longer presentation of 8 minutes that Dr. Lansing presented with Department of Maryland a year ago. So I made these slides so that you can see that link, but we are not going to, do that again today. And so, yeah. We'll just briefly mention our other components, but today we really want to focus on the educational components. Okay, one second. Yeah. And so NourishNet is one of the 7 teams funded by the National Science Foundation Convergence Accelerator Grant for Track J. Our team brings together 29 faculty members, which include technical experts, students, and external partners across the US. We are one of the 7 teams that received this grant to try to address food insecurity nationwide. If you want to hear about those other 6 teams and also more specifics about NourishNet and how this Humans Accelerator grant came to be, please link in the website that it's provided in this slides deck. You can just double click there. You'll see the important efforts that the National Science Foundation are doing to integrate human-centered design in their approaches. Now, our main goal with this grant, the way it's set as an accelerator program, is to create marketable solutions to maximize the timely flow of fresh produce that are suitable for human consumption to address food insecurity within our local food systems. And so this was our goal as a team. And for doing that, we are trying to give the highest and best possible use to everything that is edible food for humans, but also that is not edible for human consumption. We try to prevent waste by creating a flow of options that will be available to the pantries and to the food distributors to reduce greenhouse gases and to maximize their advantage throughout the food donation system. So finally, with NourishNet, we're trying to empower all our end users, which are the recipients that are experiencing food insecurity, but also to empower them with tools to be able to prevent food waste at their own homes with food education. And so super quick, NourishNet, I was trying to summarize its toolbox. So our tools are integrated and they all play together a symbiotic relationship. So first of all, we have the food loops that, as you see here, it's a software app that optimizes food surplus among the food distributors. And those can be either like small farmers all the way to some of the main food retailers in our nation. And then we also have the electronic sensor, which we have named Quantum Nose, which is a sensor that helps monitor food freshness and will help in different parts of the ecosystem to maximize the value of those produce that we want them to reach humans, basically as much as possible. And then last but not least, we have our educational components, which are really the complement to the first two because they help us drive behavior change to prevent and reduce food waste. So what I really wanted to make a point with this slide is that our platform helps connect all of these solutions, and together they provide greenhouse emissions data that will help all of those people in the ecosystem that need to do decision making, that are trying to strive for highest and best use, to be able to decide how to use these produce to enhance food system resiliency and reduce food insecurity, but at the same time minimize food waste. And now, without further ado, we're gonna start with Lisa Alexander, who's gonna present our education initiatives. Take it away, Lisa.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Lisa Alexander. I am the Program Manager for Sustainability Programs and Initiatives for the Department of Resident Life, which is in the Division of Student Affairs at the University of Maryland. Together with my 9 undergraduate students, we are working on educational initiatives around waste prevention for students attending colleges and universities. Next slide, please. So through peer-to-peer education practices, we are implementing knowledge and skill building interactive consumer education initiatives here at the University of Maryland using the Department of Resident Life's established programs and initiatives within the residence halls. Over the last year, we've conducted engagement at campus-wide community events like our UMD Farmers Market, Campus Sustainability Month celebrations, Maryland Day, Earth Fest, and Harvest Festival. We've also hosted various collaborative events with resident hall student leaders with the event themes of composting and waste sorting, food storage techniques, food product labeling, donating and recirculating goods, and repurposing your leftovers. In that process, we've engaged with about 1,400 plus students. Next slide, please. In the fall of 2024, we piloted a food waste reduction project, specifically working with the South Hill Residence Hall community, which houses students in suites and apartment living. In our approach, we utilized knowledge and skill building activities that we created previously mentioned for the events that we were talking about on the previous slide. We also created educational handouts and utilized those at each one of these events. And these handouts were related to meal planning, food product labeling, food storage, repurposing leftovers, and meals on the go. And you'll hear a little bit more about them later. We also collaborated with the staff in this community area to host raffles and other educational opportunities. And we're utilizing pre and post surveys to further understand the needs of the community and gauge success with our implementation. And we were able to recruit 252 students to take our surveys. And if you work with college and university students, 252 is a very large number when you're trying to wrangle them to take a survey. Next slide. So research shows that the average college student produces about 640 pounds or more of waste per year, and that includes food, furniture, clothing, etc. The Department of Resident Life at UMD recently created the Terp to Terp Campus Reuse Store, which I manage. That is a free service that supports students' essential needs and fosters a culture of social responsibility through waste reduction. We collect small appliances, kitchen items, room accessories, clothing, and school supplies that are donated throughout the year by students, staff, faculty, and our local community for recirculation, for free recirculation to our students who otherwise could not afford such items. So that in our basic needs group that we have on campus, that helps support their financial stability on campus. Terp to Terp manages 21 locations across campus, which includes collection bins for food that we then recirculate through our UMD campus pantry. Donating is available all year round, but a large focus is placed during major move-out periods. So May move-out, December move-out are two of the main areas, and then apartment and living move-out, which happens in the summer when their leases are up. Our NourishNet team has been a part of assisting with utilizing staff and student volunteers to collect and process the essential living donations from students who are moving out of the halls. In 2024, we collected 7.7 tons of essential living items for recirculation to UMD students. And in that number, 1.2 of that was food that was recirculated through the UMD campus pantry. Additionally, in collaboration with the University of Maryland Residence Hall Association Sustainability Committee, in spring of 2024, we piloted an apartment compost bin distribution combined with an educational information booklet for the South Hill Residence Hall area. And we were able to continue that and bring that into our fall pilot as well. And we're continuing it in the spring of 2025 too. This is our educational booklet that we've distributed to students and we have available at our tabling. It specifically targets apartment composting in the South Hill area, but you'll see that the content on the pages are how to compost, where to compost, what to compost, and we connect that to our Green Terp program in particular because we have composting on campus that's connected to that. The book also includes the food code guidelines, 3 ways to reduce food waste, and highlights the EPA wasted food scale. There's also a recipe for a most common food scrap, which is potatoes, that students have, and it's made a baked potato skins chip recipe. And then it also highlights where your compost goes, because we found that our students are more motivated to do composting when they kind of know the full process of where things go, not just that they need to do composting. Next slide. So we maximize the benefit of our educational outreach with embedding our efforts into campus programs that already exist and that already have student connections. And we mentioned the Terp to Terp Campus Reuse Store. We've also embedded it within our Green Terp program as well, which is a collaboration between the Department of Resident Life and the Office of Sustainability, who kind of oversees the entire campus. Using the Terp to Terp Campus Reuse Store in particular, we have an established social media platform. So we've been able to create and share digital outreach content targeted to college students on Instagram that has reached over 12,000 plus people, either through viewing, liking, saving, or sharing. Over the last year, our team focused on waste sorting and reuse, food storage, food shopping, food product labeling, how to donate food, repurposing leftovers. We also had a two-part series of how and why to create an Eat This First bins, where our students actually took you into their apartments and showed you how they utilize them, and then also recipes and tips for creating meals on the go. We're currently working on creating more interactive social media videos, so showing college students doing the tips that we provide. Next slide. So our student engagement team is regularly preparing both content for in-person experiences and digital connections that will meet the needs of their fellow students based off the feedback that they get while they're tabling. And then also just understanding the needs of our student population, because that changes from year to year. If you're interested in viewing our content, we suggest that you visit our Terp to Terp Instagram or us on Threads. And then if you'd like to chat with our team about developing waste reduction initiatives that blend with your campus or department, if you're in the Department of Resident Life, you can contact us at terptoterp@umd.edu.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate it. There's a ton of information there. And if you also are part of the Maryland area and they're going to be in Maryland Day, Lisa's going to be there with her team. And now we're going to move on to the pilot with Amy.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Amy. I'm an instructor with the Department of Nutrition and Food Science at UMD, and I'm a postdoctoral research with the NourishNet team. So I will be describing some of our consumer education initiatives focused on meeting the needs of food insecure food pantry clients, and highlight some of the program and materials that our team developed, and some very early results or implications from our evaluation. So we were lucky to partner with the Linda Benn Foundation for this pilot program. For anyone who's not familiar, the Linda Benn Foundation is a great Maryland organization. They work to provide nutritious food, promote wellness, reduce food waste, and they offer nutrition education to Maryland families to help support both their food security and overall health. So they have a variety of amazing programs, one of which is their community food pantry. So this past fall, Danielle and I co-led our program with the community food pantry clients at Linda Benn, and we used a direct education format. So we hosted a group of about 20 to 25 participants. The attendance varied a little bit week to week, just based on people's needs and lives and that kind of thing. But we had 5 weekly sessions. They were each about 20 or 25 minutes long. And based on the language needs of the specific client population, we offered the program in both English and Spanish. We also wanted to incorporate some other strategies to help reinforce the program, and also to highlight, the efforts and successes of the clients who were participating. So one approach we used was to solicit ideas and feedback from the participants, with their tips and recipes and other strategies they use in their lives to reduce food waste, and then to share those ideas with the broader group. We also encourage participants to share and ask questions and, talk and direct the discussion as much as possible during the sessions to make it more relevant and useful to the people who are attending. And we made the NourishNet educational materials available to the all clients at Linda Benn. So we'll go over some of the details about the different sessions. If you can go to the next slide. So these are the topics. There's a lot of overlap with the topics that Lisa just covered, but we did each of these in its own session. So first we covered date labeling to discuss various phrases that consumers see on food packages and strategies to evaluate or assess if the food is still safe to eat. Then we did strategies for planning meals and maintaining an organized inventory list of the food available at home, and then shopping or selecting foods. Then we covered best practices for food storage to maximize shelf life of different foods. We talked about creative ideas for reusing leftovers, and then some strategies to pack meals away from home. The key theme I would say that we tried to weave throughout all of these sessions was our goal was to help participants stretch their food as much as possible so they could get as much value as possible, which would in turn help them both save money and reduce waste while eating healthy and nourishing meals. And we used surveys at pre and post that took about 10 minutes each to evaluate the program. And then we also gathered some qualitative feedback from the participants. Next slide.
Thank you, Amy. I just wanted to add that maybe if there is time in the Q&A section, we could share some of how we came to decide on these 5 clusters, because that was a beautiful effort on the human-centered design approach in year 1. So yeah, just noticed that we did. Thank you.
So session 1, for all of these, our team developed an educational handout to correspond to each session topic, made available in both English and Spanish, so that participants could refer back to the information we discussed. And then in the first session, we spent about half of the time introducing the program and ourselves, and then filling out a consent form in the survey. But after that, the sessions all followed the same basic format. So we would introduce the week's discussion topic, then we had a hands-on activity or demonstration, and then we would conclude with some key messages, key take-home points, and offered a small incentive to thank the participants for their time. So I'm not going to go over every single detail, but just as an example of our first session about food product labeling, we talked about regulations surrounding date labeling and food safety information to help clients kind of understand how to make those judgments about whether or not foods are still safe. And then as a group, we passed around and handled some various foods or sample foods to kind of practice and highlight ways that foods can change, in terms of appearance and smell as they age or approach spoiling. Next slide, please. So the second week was all about food shopping. So we spent most of this session collaborating with the participants to talk about strategies that work well for them to keep track of food they have at home, how they go about making grocery lists or meal plans, and how they go about obtaining food. And then for activity, we worked together on a meal planning exercise. So we had like a sample inventory at home, and we worked together to come up with a few days of meals that would maximize all the food, using the food available already, and then make a really targeted specific list so that people were able to use that to get, the amount of food that they need to meet their needs without excess waste. Next slide, please.
Yeah. One thing I really loved about this, Amy, is how you designed it to have an open discussion at the beginning, because it really made it like a pop-up participation of them. And so it was not just us sharing, but learning with them from them.
Yeah, one of the main points was like we wanted to capitalize on some of the social learning and camaraderie among the participants, because we can talk to people, but people, I think in general, just get more from anything when they're learning from their peers and they are an active participant.
Yeah.
Let's see, can we go to the next slide? So as part of the program, we also incorporated some cooking demonstrations. So mainly these were for weeks 3 and 4. So week 3, we focused on best practices for food storage to maximize shelf life. And we demonstrated in this cooking demo how to blanch vegetables prior to freezing to maintain their quality. And then we sampled a recipe that was made with a vegetable that had been previously blanched and frozen and thawed. So specifically, specifically we prepped broccoli to freeze, and then we sampled a broccoli salad that was made with, like really quickly thawed broccoli. Week 4, this was probably my favorite session. We were able to get a lot of feedback and participation from the participants. It seemed like everybody was kind of excited to share their ideas. So our topic was ways to repurpose leftovers while keeping food interesting and maintaining food safety. So we talked about, temperature control, how to cool food quickly and things like that. And for our demonstration, we had like a mock scenario where we had leftover rice and vegetables and a protein. And we just made a quick fried rice that we then all shared as a group afterwards. And then for the 5th session, for our final session, this was about strategies for packing meals on the go and tips for transporting food when you're going to be away from refrigeration. So a lot of this session focused on food safety. We talked about sort of ideal food storage containers and materials when you're transporting food. But in this and in the other sessions, we tried to make sure that we were recognizing that people might not always have, what we consider ideal materials available. So we also discussed alternative approaches that are, could still support waste reduction and safe, healthy food, kind of like a risk reduction mentality. So, for example, we talked about how trying to use an insulated lunch bag or box whenever possible is great, but if one's not available, a reasonable alternative could be double layering a paper bag. And then we brainstormed some ideas for foods that could be frozen and used as a cold source if an ice pack was not available. And then we wanted to incorporate a kind of a celebration and recognition of the participants who took part in this pilot. So we shared a low waste recipe. I made a few loaves of a whole banana bread with the peel and all. And we gave out a couple additional prizes while completing the post survey. And then, so again, as part of this program, we collected a survey at pre and post to gather some preliminary data about the program. Our sample was small, but their feedback was still helpful for offering some early insights. So the participants were regular clients of the Linda Benn Foundation who, on registering, plan to attend, all or most of the sessions. But of course, we understand that life gets in the way. So we collected 27 surveys at both time points, but because of fluctuation in attendance, they weren't exactly the same sample both times. So this slide this is not like a statistical analysis. It's a description and impressions from this small group. But to describe the sample, the majority, about almost 2/3 were women and unemployed. About half or a little more than half were Hispanic or married or partnered. And they were all, they were pretty evenly distributed in terms of age and education level. So the survey that we focused on household food management and questions. We had questions about various behavioral practices, perceptions of confidence in the respondents' ability to manage food for their household, perceptions of difficulty in managing food, and then there was a short knowledge scale. So some earlier analyses that we did with a similar population showed that the behavioral questions kind of centered around 3 kind of main concepts or areas. So the first essentially was strategies to plan food for the household. So a sample question was like, how often do you plan and prepare meals ahead of time? The next sort of main topic was practices related to saving money or resources. So an example question here was, how often do you compare prices before you buy food? And then the third was behaviors that are responsive to date labels on food packages. So how often do you throw away foods if the best by date on the food label has passed? And then the confidence and difficulty questions, these were rated on a 5-point scale. So we were asking the participants to rate their agreement with various statements from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And some examples are, I have the knowledge and skills to reduce the amount of food that I throw away when we were trying to assess confidence. Or I find it difficult to make sure that I throw away only small amounts of food for difficulty questions. And then the knowledge questions asked about where various foods should be stored for the longest shelf life, how to interpret date labels, and some food safety concepts. Because this was a short program and the sample was small, so these are not, we weren't expecting dramatic results, but we noticed a couple of pretty interesting trends. The first was that participants were throwing away, or reported throwing away food less often based directly on the date labels at the end of the program. And they also reported having higher levels of confidence in their ability to manage food for their household. Interestingly, we did see that their perceptions of difficulty related to household food management increased a little bit, which might seem a little bit counterintuitive. And it's a little challenging to interpret because a small sample and human behavior is a complicated thing. But one possibility and sort of my interpretation is that perhaps these participants were maybe more accurately recognizing the difficulty that's inherent in minimizing waste, because it's a hard thing to do, and that's why we haven't solved it, right? So I'm looking forward to, hopefully getting a larger sample and more data to look into this in more detail. But the idea that some participants were reporting a positive behavior change and feeling more confident in their abilities while also acknowledging that minimizing food waste is hard seems like it could be a really positive outcome.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Okay, so another resource that our team has been working on are a series of short educational videos. So these also correspond to those 5 session topics that were used in the pilot, and they're available in English and Spanish. So this is a strategy to reinforce some of the key messages in the educational sessions, and also a useful way to reach a broader audience. So we can view the first one now. This is on understanding food date labels.
Let me know if he's not hearing correctly.
Did you know you have more time than you might think to safely enjoy your food before it needs to be thrown away? The secret is understanding the true meaning of date labels. This is not an expiration date. It only tells us when a product will most likely taste the best, not when it needs to be discarded. These dates are also based entirely on flavor and quality, not safety. No room for interpretation here, right? It's actually just the recommendation for peak quality, and often your food can be used for many months or even years later. There's one exception to all of this. With infant formula, always treat the use by date as the expiration date. But other food is safe to consume if handled properly until there are clear signs of spoilage. You're the only one who can decide if your food has spoiled or not. So spread the word on the meanings of these misunderstood date labels.
Yeah, second, because I need to be able to go back to. Oh, I think there we are. Is it the full screen you're seeing or just
You can maximize it, I think. You can see your toolbar, but
that better?
there you go.
Thank you. Oops.
And then we
have one more. That's right.
Yeah, no, we have one more example on repurposing leftovers that we can watch.
Oftentimes, we have extra food when we make something to eat. One of the best ways to stretch our food and budget is to be smart with those leftovers. Most scraps and leftovers can survive in the fridge for at least a few days, making them easy to repurpose. Extra mashed potatoes can easily be used to make potato cakes or soup. Leftover tomato, onion, and peppers can be added into a stir fry the following day. But the first step is remembering the leftovers are in there. So hang a list up on your fridge and update it as needed so you can clearly see what food has the potential to star in your next meal. Store your leftovers in clear, labeled containers so you can easily see them when you open the fridge. See our video on food storage for even more storage advice. Experimenting with tastes and flavors can yield delicious results. Having spices and herbs on hand makes experimentation fun. Leftover chicken can be served with rice and fresh, frozen, or pre-cooked vegetables for a fried rice dish, with tortillas for chicken enchiladas, as chicken salad by adding mayonnaise and celery, or combined with noodles, veggies, and broth for chicken noodle soup. Try tossing in some extra mushroom or broccoli for meals like omelets and pasta dishes. Cube seasoned bread and toast it to create croutons for salads. Freezing can extend the life of your leftovers for many months. Save time by preparing large batches and freezing individual portions to eat later. You can create broth using frozen bones and vegetable scraps. And a great way to make baby food is to mash up fruits and vegetables and freeze in an ice cube tray for smaller portions. Use these tips to maximize your food budget and spice things up in the kitchen. It can be really fun to transform your leftover food into something new.
Great. So I think that's it from my part. And Heejung will pick up here to talk about some of our upcoming plans.
Sure. Thank you, Amy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heejung Song. I'm a faculty in the Department of Nutrition and Food Science at University of Maryland, College Park. So if your pantry is interested in participating in this program and want to offer consumer education to your pantry client, what is the next step? We offer 3 flexible options for implementing our consumer education program at your pantries and organization. Next slide, please. So for pantries interested in implementing training for staff, volunteer, or relevant personnel, we offer 2 options. The first option is in-person training, and this is for pantries located in DMV area only. Our team will conduct hands-on training sessions directly at your pantries for your staff and volunteers. So this personalized approach will allow for immediate feedback and customized guidance for specific to your pantry's needs and circumstances. The second option is virtual and asynchronous training. This is available for any pantries outside the DMV area or any other the area and states, or those preferring remote instruction. So our interactive virtual training modules offer flexible and self-paced instructions that pantry staff and volunteers or personnel can complete the modules according to their available individual schedules. So upon completion of either in-person training or virtual training for pantry staff, volunteers, members, staff members will be fully prepared and equipped to deliver effective consumer education sessions to their pantry client, implementing evidence-based strategies to reduce and prevent food waste. So this approach is often called train-the-trainer program. We first train pantry staff or volunteers, and then they kind of deliver nutrition education or food waste prevention education to their client. We also have the third option. The third option is direct education to pantry client, like Amy mentioned previously. So for pantries located in DMV areas or pantries in Prince George County, Montgomery counties in Maryland, our team will provide direct education sessions to your pantry client. So if you select these options, our team and your pantry will need to coordinate further to discuss the schedules and logistics and venue for implementing the consumer education program. Direct education for pantry client, again, is the approach mentioned by Amy. Next slide, please. So what materials will we use for consumer education and pantry staff training? Our food waste prevention reduction program offers comprehensive resources for both pantry client and pantry staff. For client education, we've developed a series of educational fact sheet and videos just shared by Daniela. Amy presented what these resources are already, and the materials are accessible through our website, NourishNet Co. So Avery mentioned about how these hands-out accessible. It's available, and if you are interested in those materials, you can download those materials from our website. Also, to measure program effectiveness, we offer pre and post surveys along with a brief consent form upon request. So organization can track knowledge gains and the behavior changes among their pantry client and participant. For pantry step training, we will use interactive facilitator training manual that provide step-by-step guidance on delivering the education session to their client. So again, these resources will prepare and equip pantry staff with the knowledge and skill set and confidence to effectively communicate with their client. Next slide, please. So depending on your location and availability, here are two forms. One form on your left shows, for pantries located in DMV area or Prince George or Montgomery counties in Maryland. For pantries outside the DMV area or other states, you can use another form. The forms are already shared in the chat box. Okay, thank you, everyone. And if you have any other question, here's our emails. And then now I'd like to open it up for further questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hee-Young. It's great. I can't wait to hear what other people have as questions. Oh, and just to mention, all the handouts are available in English and Spanish. So right now the website have them all in English, and by next week we'll have the Spanish ones there as well. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen to be able to see everyone. And we have our Director of Communications, Graham, who's gonna run the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Daniela. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions for our panel. There have been a few comments and questions in the chats. One being, are they available in English and Spanish, which they will be in full completion by next week, as Daniela mentioned. Carla wanted us to send out the videos that were displayed. Those are on our website at nourishnet.co. And that's all I have for now for questions and comments.
Thank you, Graham. If anybody else would have an additional question, this will be a great time to share. And
if you think of any after the fact, we have an email address at contactus@nourishnet.co, and I'll put that in the chat as well. So if you can't think of any now,
I'll share their screen again as
yeah,
well.
there it is.
Give me what people warm up about it. Maybe you or Dr. Hee-Young Song can share about the human-centered design process, because it was like a year-long decision on what to include on those 5 weeks. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure, I'll defer to Hee-Jung.
So we identified those 5 food waste and prevention related topics based on the research kind of framework. So by conducting extensive and comprehensive literature review, we try to search for what topics are most needed and urgent to address these food waste the topics. And I'd like to also mention one thing. Recently, I conducted a survey and collected the survey data from college student in Maryland. We recruited about 370 the student survey. And the survey result is quite interesting because when we look at food insecure and food secure student statistically significantly throw away more food because they misinterpret their labeling. So from that, the finding, we can easily kind of hypothesize that definitely more the ways exacerbate the food insecure status. So probably it's the similar kind of hypothesis that can be made for our pantry client. So that's why it is urgent and needed to address this food waste topic, particularly for food insecure client.
Thank you, Hee-Yoon. I think that's so valuable. This new Food Waste Prevention Week campaign, which is the year number 5, had made emphasis on that the average amount of household food waste amounts to more than $3,000 a year, but the official figure is 1,500. So I'll try to wrap up my comment because I do see a question from Carla. But for us, it's been super interesting to see the lack of sufficient storage space or cold storage, even like a fridge or, like cooking skills that sometimes our clients with the pilot program have been empowered through the program to try to solve. And yeah, noticing that it's not lack of interest to make the most of the food, but the lack of resources or skills. But I'll stop there. Miss Carla Hash, would you like to share your question openly or put it on the
Yeah.
chat? Okay.
Yes, I had a question. One, I'm with Mid-Atlantic Food Resilience Access Coalition, and we short MAFRAC, and what we do is try to promote and build a healthy food sustainable pipeline. But my question is, would you all be able to present, like we have a group of stakeholders which consist of farmers, food pantries, faith-based and community-based organizations. And I was wondering if you all would be willing, we meet the second and the fourth Friday and we meet for an hour. Would you all be able to present like this? Because I think what happens is these best used by date gets a lot of people confused. And I think that is what needs to be, shared a lot and as it relates to food waste, because people think just because it has used by 2/27/2024, you can't use it afterwards. And I know because I've traveled to foreign countries, even with medicine, that's the best time to be effective. But in some foreign countries, they use expired medicines and it still work well. I mean, I use expired stuff and it still works well, but I think that is what needs to be relayed more in terms of best used by date and sell by. And that video that you showed today it really, really breaks it down the best way I've ever seen it broken down. And so my two questions is, my one question is, would you all be willing to present on one of our Friday stakeholders calls? And then, like I said, I wanted to share those videos and is it okay if we post it on our website?
Yes, probably Daniela, you chime in. I'm happy to share our findings and our materials and present to your stakeholders.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. As part of our outreach, everything is already published on the website and it's also on the YouTube channel. So feel free to share it. Just make sure that you mention where it's coming from, because then again, this multidisciplinary team of the University of Maryland has partners that help us with not just the creative process of the videos as vendors, but also we are funded by the National Science Foundation. So that's why just listing it with the right credits will be ideal. I know that they're created for that, for the purpose of serving more communities. So the more pantries, the more places where this could be shared, the best. So thank you for your interest. And yes, we can coordinate. Please send me an email. I'll also put my email on the chat in addition to the NourishNet .co email. And I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself for long at the beginning. I was a little nervous, but I'm the project manager, so I serve directly. And I am here at the service for all the KPIs that presented today and for our principal investigator as well. And so we'll be happy to help you connect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, because I think that the more we get this out, and I think it's going to be needed even more for this climate that we're in, um, that I think this was, like I said, one of the best presentations I've been to in a long time as it relates to food waste. So thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, Miss Carla Cash. We are going to release another 3 more videos because they're gonna match the handouts. So the handouts are available also. So as we are partners with the Prince George Free Equity Council, we're also looking for an opportunity to present to all of the providers of food distribution through their service. But I'm familiar with the organization that you mentioned. So yeah, we can coordinate and present there as well. Now, in the meantime, I just want to share that the recording of this presentation will be also shared at the Food Waste Prevention Week website and as well in our website. So this presentation itself will be there for anybody to share with potential stakeholders. Our main goal today was to have pantries that will be interested on the pilot to sign up. So even if you are not necessarily a pantry right now ready to say, yes, we want a pilot, but you know of someone or you think you may want to consider taking this great opportunity, we really want to book at least 2 more pilots for this springtime and summer. Dr. Hyun, would you like to add anything else?
No. Yeah, again, if you are interested in offering a consumer education program to pantry client or providing training for your pantry staff, volunteer, yeah, please contact Daniela. We are happy to discuss further.
And I do see, dozens of people connected, more than 50 people. So anybody else that likes to have a question out loud? Don't be shy. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to add. Lisa, Amy, would you like to have some closing remarks?
I don't have anything else to say except I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all and share a little bit about our work.
Ditto. Graham? Oh,
No, I think we're in good shape.
thank you, Graham. It's been an honor to be part of this presentation. I just wanted to share one last slide. As mentioned by Refit and by the Food Waste Prevention Week, and the really well point that Miss Carla Cash made, in all times it's good to reduce food waste, but especially when families can make the most of their budget and save more than $1,500, that's the average family wasting more than $1,500 a year. Other numbers that are a little bit more aggressive suggest that this adds up to 3,000 on the average nationally. And in more wealthy counties, it can add up to $5,000 a year per household. So having the opportunity to share these tools that could potentially save thousands of dollars to families is not just a benefit on their budget, but it's also a benefit on the environment and our ecosystem. So please take use of these opportunities that we're providing here. And do not forget to check all the other webinars and contests that the Food Waste Prevention Week has going on for you. There are 4 different contests this year, and all of them have prices of $100 to $300 each. And some of them are as simple as sharing a recipe on your social network. You have to make sure to add the right hashtags. So help us spread the word about Food Waste Prevention Week. And I hope that you enjoyed this webinar and engage in one of the other activities that this great campaign has for you.
Yes, this was great, and you all have challenged me. I saw those food in the refrigerator nicely labeled. My refrigerator doesn't look like that, so I'm going to challenge myself to get it in order.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining. We hope that you help us spread the word, and we hope to have a sign up for a couple of pantries for the next stage of our project. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Bye.